Hi everyone. I know it's windy. I know it's not the best quality, but first we wanted to give you that virtual vineyard tool we've been speaking about, and it's really nice to welcome you from above some wooden boxes I'm sitting on the top of to show you the main vineyard of Planeta's Chardonnay. We are in Sicily. We are in Sambuca di Sicilia, in an inland spot, which is super fresh, and I will tell you, but from the indoor conditions, why. One of the main factors is this wind, which you can perfectly hear around me. We are in a lake shore, another spot I wanted to show you, and if I'm able to change the direction of my camera, then I will do even better, but I can't see it now at the moment. So there on my back we have the Lago Arancio. Lago Arancio is a very important factor in the agriculture of Sicily. It's existing since 1952. It's from two rivers, and in a spot which is obviously known for its Mediterranean and warmer climate. It was something fundamental to start to have water in agriculture. It's a big collector, but not just a collector. It's a big factor of a surface of a lake, which is creating a microclimate for all these vineyards in my back. Planeta is a family who is producing since 1985 in these vineyards here. We are in 270 meters above sea level. And now I'm going inside to tell you all the rest, because I think the wind is getting really stormy in this moment. This is, you know, the beauty of the live connections. I will try to tell you the whole story from inside. Just give me 10 seconds and I will be with you again. So we are in Ulmo. Ulmo in Sambuca di Sicilia. This is the first cellar where Planeta started to vinify ever. Our Chardonnay obviously is a kind of a visit card, which is being produced in two different vineyards. One is the one in the top of that rock, which you have seen before, in 270 meters above this lake here. The other one is above in a 400, 500 meter spot in a calcareous, young soiled place. Today, since it is obviously mid-July, end of July, you can see on my face now, it's quite a warm day outside. But you have seen also how the vineyards were. They are super green, they are super fresh. Which are the factors? That's what we meant to speak about a bit today in this live connection with all you. Which are the factors which are giving us the possibility to produce fresh white grapes? First of all is the wind, and you have heard that before. I'm afraid also too much. This wind is something which is very constant in our life here. When you think about Sicily, and I don't know how many of you have been. It's I can see Steve said kind of like yes. I don't know if in your opinion, and I would be happy to hear your voice also, because it's that's why we are in a live connection, to have your feedback. When you came here, when I came here first, I'm Hungarian and I moved here 16 years ago. And when I first arrived to the island, I was nearly shocked how mountainy it was, how diverse it was in the topography, and it was not just the image what we have outside about Sicily. I don't know what was your experience.
Well, I had my wife had been many times before, so I was fairly prepared for what I was going to see, but it is very diverse. Yeah.
That's why we can, thank you for confirming, that's why we can actually choose very different spots where to produce white grapes. And this wind is coming also from the diversity. What is happening in this case of the Chardonnay vineyards? We have the one above us at 500 meters, and that is open towards the sea. It's a valley which is facing the Sea of Sciacca and of the Agrigento area. It means that this connection between the sea and the lake, going through a mountain, arriving up to 800 meters, but the vineyards are arriving up to 500 meters. This is creating kind of a channel, which is always regenerating the breezes, regenerating this wind. And this is already a very important factor in our life. It's chilling. Obviously, for the winemaker who is outside in the vineyard, it's more shocking to have this temperature. But for the grapes who are outside, the surrounding area is always windy and they are in shade of the leaves. This is actually creating a perfect condition. Why we are working in two different vineyards. One is the one which you have seen here in the lakeshore. This is a soil which is giving quite a serious Chardonnay. So what we have here in the lakeshore is our, let's say, more adult way of expression of character of Chardonnay. It's more concentrated, it's more compact. This is actually the Chardonnay from where we are making also our special reserve, which is called Didacus, which I hope next time when i4C finally will be we'll have the chance to be organized live again, as we've been there at the pre-last edition. I hope to bring this other wine too also, which is called Didacus. That's a selection from this more serious Chardonnay. Our normal Chardonnay label is actually one where we prefer to put together the fruits from this vineyard and from the above one. The above one is a vineyard which is from a way younger soil, more calcar, more white, more fossils, and obviously more elevation. This combination of the different soil and of the different elevation is giving a more nervous Chardonnay. It is something more vibrant. It is not so, laid back, doesn't have that kind of experience, life experience. And what we love is to put together these two grapes. I will try to show you one other video. I went up before to this other vineyard, and let's see if I will be able to show you the walk through that vineyard also. Since today it is so windy, we decided not to risk to do what we wanted to do originally, to drive down from that vineyard to this vineyard, because what can happen obviously is to lose the connection and lose your whole company, and I didn't want it to go for that risk there. But if I'm able to open from my computer the availability for my yes, I got it. Dear all, this is the first video, the only registered part before we started live, only because up here in 450 meters where I am now, it's a bit windy and the coverage is not so stable, but I didn't want it to miss the chance to show you these upper lands, these hillsides. On the other side there is the sea. It's only like 10 kilometers, and as from the wind you hear, the breeze is passing here. It's kind of like a wind channel, and this is giving a great chance for us to work with fresh vineyards, also in a hot summer day like today, when I'm sitting here in the top of my car to show you this vineyard. This is Maroccoli. This is one of the two vineyards which we are picking the Chardonnay from. It's now towards the end of July, obviously, so we have around a month, 40-45 days more or less to pick these vineyards up here. It's a calcareous soil. This and the wind and the elevation together are the factors, and obviously that lake down there, from which we will speak way more later live, which are giving us a chance to have a crispy and fresh Chardonnay, which gave us actually the chance to be invited to the i4C events in the last years. There, far away, Palermo, and Lago Arancio. As I told you, we will speak a lot about this lake here, which is giving us a great chance of enjoying a microclimate, a quite rare microclimate in the Mediterranean area. See you in 1 minute live. Here we are back. So these are the two different vineyards. One is alluvial soil, more gray. You couldn't see it because of the wind I escaped. It's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more organic material containing soil. And as I said, it's driven by the lake surface, driven by the humidity, and about the freshness provided by the lake. This other one where I was up before, maybe you could hear maybe a little bit less for the wind. It's a spot which is, as I said, calcar driven. This means that also in years when we have less rain, it's dividing very well in between winter and summer month, the precipitations which we have. So the water availability is great for the plants. The wind, as I said, it's provided. We are in this kind of channel, two organically belonging vineyards, and this is from where the Planeta Chardonnay is coming from. I don't know if you had the chance to taste it before. We are vinifying it since the first official vintage, which was 1995. Actually, the vinification process did not change a lot. We are picking, selecting, table sorting, pressing, and from the juice, after 1 or 2 days of decantation, we are sending down from these vats, which are in my back. This is actually the original cellar where the Planeta family started the whole story, their whole story from. Under us, there is the barrique room, and we are sending down the juice to the barrels. More or less 10 months, then they are living their life in these barrels, between alcoholic fermentation, between then partial malolactic fermentation. Obviously, this is depending a lot on how the vintage was. We are still in Sicily. We are still obviously in a warmer area, so we don't always let or leave the malolactic fermentation to go because we need that kind of crispiness which the malic acid can give to us. Our Chardonnay has changed a bit, and the habitual client is asking sometimes, in fact, if this was the vinification process. I said, I already told you this is this haven't been transformed a lot, but I think it's our vineyard management which has changed, and that's where we became more virtuous. How we are able to react more on the vintages, and what global warming is bringing for us. It's also something we have to build in here, and this is, I think, a question which is interesting to speak about today. What we observe in the last decades is a bit more precipitation average throughout the year. So it sounds a little bit illogic now that global warming and we have more rain in Sicily, but actually the humid masses, how they are moving above Europe, it all becomes more violent, and this is bringing down more, seems like. Obviously 10 years and 15 years is a short while to say sure things about it, but what it seems like that it's bringing more precipitations on the island. The violentness of these precipitations obviously is something which is a danger, but we can, I think, prepare ourselves against this, and we are working on the vineyards a lot to put different rows, to use different cover crops, to protect against an eventual erosion coming from these violent rains. But from the other side, from the viticultural side, obviously it's giving us a hand also, because higher precipitation elevations means that in the right soils, for example, in the calcareous soils there above, which have a small porous system, we will have more available rain from the part of the, for the part of the plant. So it's something we can luckily manage better than if it would be drought or if it would be more severe events around. So this is about the vineyards. I'm the lucky one who have one glass of wine here in my front. I hope you too, but I'm not sure. No, I can see Steve now. I can't see the others, but I wanted to tell you also that if you have any questions, both in the chat or both in making yourself live, you can go on with it.
So which actual vintage are you working on now?
Now we have the 2019. That's what Deborah was so nice and open for me. And this was the one we wanted to bring to Niagara this year. We will see. Hopefully next year we will be able to come and then we will have the 2020. Usually we are coming out in this part of the year more in late spring with the vintage from 2 years back, because it's 10 months in between alcoholic fermentation and then aging on the lees. Then around July and August we are bottling. Okay, actually in this small bottling line here on my back. It's because they always think that Planeta is a big family, big producer, big industrial producer, but I think it's funny to have live connections also for this, because like that we can show that these are small units. We've grown a lot. Obviously, we are working now in 5 different territories, but the cellars and the vineyards are all human size. We are bottling here around July and August also to make space for the next vintage. And then it's around 10 other months of bottle aging before coming out to the market. So that's the one. I know it's heartless to taste the wine when you don't have it in your front, right? So that's principally a little bit more bottle aging on the Didacus, this Riserva, which I told you about, from which we are producing around 100 cases. So it's really a small portion. We are out now we just started to sell now the vintage 2018. Okay. And this is also because we skipped the vintage 2017, so our commercials were already begging for having the possibility to come out with the 2018. We did expect a lot with the bottle aging, because obviously in that case, with such a small number of a production, we can permit ourselves to wait for the perfect vintages and then wait to go out also in the bottle aging when it's already at the right moment. From the Chardonnay, we are producing a little bit more bottles. It's really interesting to see, and we've been discussing a lot with the colleagues when I was there at the i4C. I think that was in 2018, if I'm not wrong. That there were all these ideas of anything but Chardonnay, that the Chardonnay will go down, that it will get boring. From our numbers, what we see is that is the most stable selling label what we have in the cellar. Actually, we are super grateful for the Chardonnay as a variety, because this gave a kind of a key to read Sicily, which was an important winemaking region before then. In the last century, it went more on the quantity production, because after the phylloxera in Europe, it has been serving France, it has been serving North Italy, which was in lack of grapes. So obviously the premium winemaking went a little bit backward as an attention in that moment there. And in the 80s and in the beginning of the 90s, especially three important families started to concentrate on premium winemaking again, one of the tools, and it's not an offensive word, tools, but it was a huge help, was the Chardonnay, because people knew it, people were able to compare it, people had the chance to play a bit on understanding if it's a Nordic or more a southern wine. Alessio Planeta also remembers that the first vintage was a very lucky vintage because 1995 was quite a cool year. So obviously it gave a very surprising Chardonnay. They ended up for 1997, so only 2 years after the first harvest and not even the first release. On the cover of the Gambero Rosso magazine as the cellar of the year. That was shocking because never a southern Italian cellar came out with this result. And this was also in big portion thanks to that vintage of the Chardonnay. And so this gave us, somehow opened the door for us on the world market. And it gave us also the power and the will and the courage, let's say it like that. And both we are speaking about spiritual and economical courage too. To invest then on the local varieties, a lot of research and development job, what the family then has been developed on these varieties, and this is actually always a factor for us, which is very stable on the sales too. I see Elena's question, which is asking how much of the production is exported. On the whole production of Planeta, we are around 58% of export. 42% is being sold in Italy, and our first markets are US, Canada, UK, Germany, and then the fifth position is always changing between Japan, Russia sometimes, but these are more varying markets here. Chardonnay is sold more or less in this same proportion. So we have a lot of fidelized Italian clients on that, but it's going also towards a lot of countries. We have a kind of a tactic of an export which loves to travel. So we have 72 or 73 markets at the moment, countries where we are sending. Obviously, this means that there are some countries that we are selling just a few boxes of a wine to. So that's I will check if there are some other questions. I can't see them at the moment. Okay. So this is what is at the moment only because up here Chardonnay. In 400 the video decided to go on again. I'm just closing it. This is at the moment the situation in Ulmo in Sicily. We really hope that soon we will have the chance to welcome North Americans back. We know that there is some difficulties to travel. Actually, our export director and one of the owners of the company wanted to travel next week to North America for the first time, but then they received the news from the embassy that it was so hard to have the authorizations that they had to postpone a little bit the trip. We are really thirsty of having the chance to meet with our clients, with our friends, and especially to go back to Canada. Honestly, I have to say that it's warm here now, but I'm nearly missing that huge sunstroke I have suffered after the after the i4C of 3 years ago, when I went back then to Toronto, and I went to the Rogers Cup to see some matches And I said, "Oh, I'm in Canada after Sicily. What can happen?" And I did not put any sun block or any hat. And I had the best sunstroke fever back on my flight to Italy. Obviously, this is a self-critical comment, because I just didn't measure perfectly the conditions. But we are really missing to travel to these countries which are giving us great energies. This year we have at the moment a great condition on the vineyards. It was a cold June, so we are a little bit late for the harvest. We are thinking to start to harvest just after the 16th of 20th of August, which is 2 weeks later than usually we start. After this cold June, we went on a quite warm and windy July, from which you have seen some sample before. But we had a very good rainfall yesterday of the berry growth, and right before veraison in many varieties. So this rain was really refreshing, and it was in a good moment. It's from now on, usually it's dry, and usually it's windy as it is now, which is great against any fungi illnesses. I see the question of Paul, who is asking if we use French oak and what degree of toasting do you usually use. Thank you for asking that. We did a lot of experiments. We did try mainly French carpenters oak. Or barrels, sorry, because the oak itself is Slavonian oak, not American oak. This is something what we are avoiding, not for a non-sympathy for the nation, but because we really prefer Slavonian oak, which is kind of like giving a background, a backbone, kind of of a support to the wine, and it's not covering it. It's not overwhelming the nose. We are working a lot, out in the vineyard to preserve freshness. As I said it before, we don't want to then hide it from a more vanilla-driven, a more sweet kind of an oak. And now, after a lot of years, we have actually fidelized ourselves, especially with one house who is producing barriques. This is called the Raymond, and they are in Beaune, in Burgundy. Why is it good to be fidelized to one producer of the barriques? Is because then they are putting away a special selection of the oak for us. They are aging it for a longer while, when they know that year after year we will buy quite an important amount of barrels. So we have now personalized barrels for the Chardonnay. And usually we are working between medium light and medium toasting. We are never using any strong toasting. Also because, and this is not only true or valid for the Chardonnay, but also for the other varieties in Sicily. In the Chardonnay, we want to express and preserve this freshness. In other varieties, for example, in reds, we are also using light or maximum medium toasting, because the South Italian varieties often have a very surprisingly soft and flexible tannin content. And this is matching way more with a lighter way of the toasting. This is giving something which is pushing forward these special characters, which are maybe less known as a Cabernet's character, or as the Merlot's character. So especially on the Nero d'Avola, on the Reservas of the Nero d'Avola, on the Nerello Mascalese from the Etna, we are trying to use soft oak generally. That's our experience. I wanted to say philosophy, but this is not philosophy. This is we have tested everything. What we usually do when we start with a new project is that we set up a line of different oaks and a line of different ways of vinifications, and we take the time to try all these tests or these micro probes, and then to use the results what we have figured out. More and more big oak and more light toasting. That's the general tendency. On the Chardonnay, it's barrique though. We have an incredible barrel room down here, which is obviously Wi-Fi less, how you can imagine. But it's something magical. We have two colleagues who are the masters of this room. There are 600 barrels inside, and it's a room. It's not a huge place. And you have to imagine that the guys are moving these 600 barrels at least or maximum every 14 days once. So that means that they know them name by name, maybe. That's how they can perfectly play this chess game of finding the space of this wine. This barrel room is entirely dedicated to the Chardonnay, since I told you that this is one of the most important labels we are trying to give special attention to. Then we have other cellars, other units where we are aging. We are trying to variety specify also the spaces for the aging, like that we can give the maximum attention to what we are doing. I think I have stolen the time which I could stole. Thank you, Elena and Paul, for the written messages, and I'm happy that at least I see the video camera of Steve in the meanwhile. It's a new era now. It's
been really interesting.
I couldn't hear you now. I think I can hear you now. I was just speaking, so that's why.
No, I said it's been really interesting.
I'm sorry for the wind. We wanted to stay more outside, but today, it's the nature deciding for us. So that's why then we decided that it's better to be. Maybe it's more boring to sit between the tanks, but it's better for the conditions which are outside, because one factor we have learned a lot about how to do connections last year. And it gave us a big kick, and now we feel it also as a fortune that we can connect. Traveling without moving is something new, and maybe we can give also more quality information when we are sitting here in the middle of the cellar. So myself, I enjoy this a lot, but obviously one factor we still have to work on is the wind factor, I think.
There's not much you can do about that. Anyway, Thank you very much indeed. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve. That was lovely. And I'm sending a big hug using this space to Trisha and to the whole team of i4C, who I really miss to hug again. They are doing an excellent job on trying to keep up the spirit, I think, in everybody who was desperately waiting to get together again. For us producers, I think it was an incredible. I told always to everybody that i4C was one of the most valuable events I had the luck to join, because we had a great chance to meet with really enthusiastic and prepared consumers from one side, and from the other side we've been close to one place for 4 days, which for viticulturals and winemakers running always up and down, it's something really a treasure, and we were kind of like obligated to share. It was really a gift to get together and share experiences with New Zealand, Ontario, French, and any other producers from all over. So thank you to all the team of the volunteers, and really hope to see you very soon. Ciao.